This is our problem space presentation. I'm Chris. I'm a Chemi.
I'm Audit. I'm Neki.
I'm Nick. I'm an AE.
I'm Yushan. I'm Neki.
I'm Megan. I'm a Chemi, and I'm going to be giving our case study. As I'm sure students and professors alike here at Tech can agree with, education is a very important thing, which is why it's so devastating when unexpectedly becomes disrupted for an unknown period of time. I recently spoke to an old friend of mine, Reagan Mong, who shared her experience with me facing the challenges of what started with something unfortunately common from Atlanta's water infrastructure, a water main break. You see, on March 4th, 2019, Fulton County had a huge water main break. Although Reagan, a middle school at Landmark Christian School, didn't know much about what was going on at the time, she was devastated by just the fact that school would be closing temporarily because of the water shortage that was caused. Although this on its own was difficult enough for a dedicated student like herself, this was only the beginning of the tragic effects of this break. A couple days later, after the main break, when they were just reopening the school, she suddenly fell very ill. You see, this was no coincidence. Water main breaks of this size can lead to incredibly severe levels of contamination. This break in particular led to more than 100,000 people receiving boil water advisories. But a lot of damage had already been done, as many of the students were unaware of the severity of the water contamination. Though Reagan had fallen ill early, just a couple days after the school was back in session, almost every other student fell ill too. The illness was norovirus, a highly contagious and severe stomach bug that can live in contaminated water. Reagan said to me, quote, "It was crazy that a whole school of people went down because of one break, and we had no clue that we shouldn't have been drinking the water." Following the fall of almost all the students but a handful, Landmark had to close its doors for the rest of the week, leaving teachers, students, and faculty lives and lesson plans disrupted. The week they had off for school for many was spent recovering and reflecting on how a well-functioning school and many healthy students could be absolutely taken down by a single common main break.
Now, with there being nearly 400 water main breaks per year, cases like Reagan's are unfortunately incredibly common in urban Atlanta and its surrounding areas, and education is not the only pain point. Businesses are forced to shut down, public health takes a hit as there's growing distrust, and the neglect the government seems to have right now for the situation simply isn't helping us out. And this has led us to choose the problem space of trying to figure out how we can fix water distribution systems in urban Atlanta. And talk a little bit more about the specifics, we can go to Nick.
So yeah, as a group, we wanted to do something with water. We wanted to keep it local, so we chose Atlanta. And after our first round of stakeholders, we learned, we zeroed in on water infrastructure in Atlanta. And from those stakeholders, we learned about the two parts of water infrastructure, which is the distribution and the sourcing side. And then after our second round of stakeholders, we decided to go into the distribution side. And we learned through the case studies, such as Reagan, we learned about how public health is negatively affected, and we were deeply moved by that. So we decided to go into public health and how the water distribution systems affect that. So our How Might We statement is, how might we improve water distribution systems in urban Atlanta to enhance public health?
Yeah, so as Nick was talking about, these stakeholders that we contacted really informed our decisions, and we contacted 5 more since the last pinup. So we have a total of 7, with 5 of those being through Teams or call, and then 2 of those being through text correspondence. 2 of these are also case studies. One, which Megan mentioned, was Reagan, who was impacted at her school, and the other one is my aunt's friend, whose house had a water pipe break, which caused her to stay at a hotel for a couple of days, which shows the human impact that this issue has.
Yeah, and then after contacting our stakeholders, we really wanted to go into the poor water infrastructure in Atlanta and what kind of effects that has overall and what kind of things affect that. So we made our causal map here with the quality of source water affecting the poor water infrastructure in Atlanta, and we looked at what causes some of these effects and what takes away from some of these effects in our causal map.
All right, thank you guys for your time. We're now open to questions.
Thank you.